time to go to film school. Film study professor, my good friend Joe Fortunato, on board with us this morning. And I got to tell you, he's going to look at a movie that I think has a little bit of everything. I'd have to put it among some of my favorite movies to take in. And every time I see it, I have to check out a little of it. But I'll let Joe take it from there. Good morning, Mr. Fortunato. Go ahead.
Good morning, Ray. Good morning, everybody. And yeah, we're looking at I don't want to call it a forgotten classic, but this is an Oscar Best Picture winner, which, that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And some people forget that. I'm talking about Driving Miss Daisy from 1989. It was released late in 1989, limited release, and then it went wide in early 1990. It was directed by Bruce Beresford, written by Alfred Urey, and based on his play. It stars the great Morgan Freeman, Jessica Tandy, who won an Oscar, Dan Aykroyd, who was nominated for an Oscar, and Patti LuPone. Nominated in total for 9 Oscars. Like I said, it won for Best Picture, Best Actress, won for Best Writing and Makeup as well. It was very successful, a modest budget, and a very successful gross and box office run. For those who don't know, the story is about Daisy, who's played by Jessica Tandy, and it's her point of view through a network of relationships and emotions, friends, family, all through the eyes of her friendship with her driver, who's played by Morgan Freeman. The film was an adaptation. This film is the only adaptation of an off-Broadway production ever to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. A lot of regular Broadway shows have won that, but off-Broadway, this is kind of rare. It also features Dan Aykroyd's only Oscar-nominated performance, and we forget that, he sometimes would play serious roles like this. It was, at least as of last year, it was the most recent PG-rated film to have won Best Picture. So since then, it's all been, PG-13 and R. The project was, despite its success when it came out, the project was rejected by Walt Disney, Fox, Universal, Paramount, and Columbia. So it was brought around and rejected by a lot of the studios. Alfred Urey based the story of Daisy and Hoke on his own grandmother, whose name was Lena Fox, and her chauffeur, Will Coleman, and his grandmother lived until the age of 96. So that's, kind of vaguely, how old or the span of time that we see Jessica Tandy in this movie. Funny story about, I'll tell the funny story in a moment. But Jessica Tandy, as I said, won the Best Actress Oscar. And at age 81, she was the oldest winner of a Best Actress Oscar. She still holds that record. She was so convinced that she would lose out on the Oscars, she had a $100 bet with her agent that she wouldn't win the Oscar for Best Actress. When she paid up on Oscar night, she told him it was the best bet she ever lost.
Yes, Driving Miss Daisy. The thing, and I opened up, and I'm going to let Joe roll here, because unfortunately, it has racism, it has drama, it has comedy, it has family values. It's really got a little bit of everything for you. I find it enjoyable. Certainly the dramatic side of it is a little intense, especially with Morgan Freeman and the racism part of it, but really a great movie.
Well, since you brought it up, the film was criticized, despite its success, both commercially and critically. It was criticized for its handling of racism. The criticism kind of centered around Morgan Freeman's character of Hope is sort of having a quote-unquote toadying manner, or very subservient, which was a little bit painful to see for some African-American viewers. And that's one of the criticisms. Of course, it is a product of its time, not making excuses, just putting it into context. Another thing, the film's nomination for Best Picture, it got a nomination over Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, which was also very controversial. Spike Lee later reflected on the decision by saying that Driving Miss Daisy was not being taught in film schools all across the world like Do the Right Thing is. And he's not wrong. I've taught that in my own film classes. So I talk a little bit about casting. Jessica Tandy, of course, perfect for the role, won an Oscar. But some other names that were mentioned, and these are all late in their career, would have been very interesting, any of them. Katharine Hepburn, Bette Davis, Lucille Ball, Lauren Bacall, Angela Lansbury, all were interested in playing Miss Daisy. There was also some consideration of a Bette Midler and Eddie Murphy pairing, if you can picture that as well. And the role of Florine, it's played by Patti LuPone, is not in the original play. That was written into the movie by Alfred Ury especially for Patti LuPone. So that was kind of a special character casting in that film as well. And so you're right. It's a despite some of its racism problems, or the depiction of his subservience, it is really a wonderful film. It's got a good heartfelt message about friendship and longevity and tolerance. And it's like I said, it's one of those films I think is a little bit forgotten. People kind of forget about this movie until it's brought up or mentioned. So hopefully mentioning it today will get some folks to revisit it or see it for the first time.
I agree 100%. And I know when you brought it up and we agreed that this was the film, I'm actually going to watch it this weekend because it's been some years since I have taken it in. And as Joe was spot on, it's a Best Picture award winner. It's really fabulous. And I think sometimes it does, as Joe mentioned, gets lost a little bit. Well, Joe, you and I are going to get there. Speaking of Best Pictures, we're going to do a film school coming up pretty soon in just a couple of weeks, right?
We are indeed. Saturday, March 21st, we are going to be looking at The Godfather. We are doing a live screening, a Fortunato Film School live screening of The Godfather at Jilly's Music Room, Saturday, March 21st, 11 a.m. Tickets are only $5, and if you get a ticket in advance, and you'll get that applied to your brunch at Jilly's, and Jilly's serves a wonderful brunch. So you definitely want to come out to see The Godfather with Ray and myself, where I will do live commentary. So if you've seen The Godfather before, come out and learn more about it. If you've never seen The Godfather, well, geez, you kind of owe it to yourself as an American to come out and see the film with us. Get your tickets. You can go to my website, joefortunato.net. You can go to Jilly's website. Tickets are in advance, so you want to get them now because they are starting to sell. And you definitely want to make sure and they are first come, first serve. So want to make sure you get the tickets. The Godfather on March 21st. And this is a by request film. This is one of the most requested films we've had. So I expect a very good crowd. So make sure that you're in it as well. And then, of course, on Saturday, March 14th, just coming up next week, I will be doing my annual History of the Oscars lecture at the Green Branch Library. That is absolutely free. That's Saturday, March 14th, the day before the Oscars, 11 a.m. at the Green Branch Library. And we'll talk about the history of the Oscars as well as this year's race. And there's some new rules and stuff I'll go over. So even if you've been there before, come and talk about the new stuff. All of that can be seen on my website, joefortunato.net, or the respective websites of our sponsors, and we thank them for that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Godfather is probably one of the three favorites of mine, but I've never seen it through Joe's eyes. So I'm so looking forward to film school there on the 21st. And I got to tell you, the last like 2 or 3 film schools we've done at Jilly's, we packed the house, and they get there early to get the seats. So again, as Joe mentioned, get your tickets now, reserve your tables. We have a feeling it's going to be pretty packed there on the 21st. And go to Joe's website, Jilly's website, and get your tables today. Joe, as always, my friend, great job with driving Miss Daisy, and we'll get together and talk again next week. Thank you for making time.
Thanks, Ray. Look forward to it. See you then.
You got it. There we go. Film school professor, my good friend Joe Fortunato, joining us live this morning, as he does. He makes time each and every Friday. We do film school here on the Ray Horner Morning Show at WAKR.